Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be making a new dress, so say hello to Aitana. This dress is meant to be made in linen with contrasting bias piping. It has the cutest mini sleeves and a drop waist silhouette, and it also has an invisible zipper on the back of the dress. This pattern comes with two length options, and we're going to be making the longer option today. And remember, you can find this and many more beautiful patterns on our website or on our Etsy. Aitana comes in sizes 32 to 50, and it comes in formats A0, US letter, and A4. Here's a list of everything you're going to be needing for this tutorial. Remember, you can choose between two lengths of the dress. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is print out our pattern. I decided to print it in the US letter format. Here I'm using Adobe Acrobat, which is completely free if you want to download it. And as you can see, once you open the document, you can go over here on the right and turn on or off any layers you want. And then you can just print as normal. And now we have to assemble it. As you can see, we have margins all around each page. And for the first row, I'm just going to be cutting off the left edge. You know it's the first row because it says number 1 on the top. You just have to make sure you're matching all the margins on the side, just like this. Then, from the second to the last row, you're going to trim off the top and left edge. Once you've assembled all of the rows, we have to tape them together. So just make sure to use the margins on the top and bottom of the page as a guide. And now you can just go ahead and cut all of your pattern pieces. To make it easier when we're going to transfer the darts to the fabric, I recommend cutting them off on the paper before. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be using linen for this dress. I chose to make it in the longer version, and I'm going to be using white contrasting bias piping. And you can use this layout as a guide. Now we're going to transfer all of the darts on all of the pattern pieces. So make sure to mark them on the wrong side of the fabric, not on the right side. And for the notches, remember to just make a small cut. Go ahead and grab a pair of your pocket panels, and we're going to cut these small strips of fusible interfacing and iron it to the borders just like this. Now, using a zigzag stitch or your overcast machine, you're going to overcast the center back edges of the main and facing back bodices. It's time to begin closing the darts. We're going to begin with the main right front bodice, and by now you should have all the darts marked, and we're just going to begin closing them and pinning it in place. Use a straight stitch to close all of the darts. And using the same technique, we're going to close the remaining panels with darts. Grab both the main right and left bodices and you're going to face them together just like this. Leave a 1 centimeter seam allowance and you're going to sew from the side edge to the first notch. And make sure to press that seam open. Repeat this with the front facings. Once that's ready, you're going to match the main front and back panels and you're going to stitch them on the shoulders. Remember to leave a 1 centimeter seam allowance. You're going to follow these same steps on the facings and don't forget to press the seams open. Next, you're going to grab your silk cord and you're going to equally divide it into 6 pieces. Now grab your silk cords and your main bodice panel and we're going to start pinning the silk cord to the notches, just like this. Then you're going to move on to your sewing machine and you're going to make a couple of stitches over each silk cord. Now we're going to attach the bias piping. Don't worry, it's actually really simple. And the first thing you have to do is grab your bias piping and the raw edge of the bias piping should be facing the same side as the raw edge of the neckline. You're just going to start pinning it all around the neckline until you get to the back. Remember, you're going to start attaching the bias piping from the seam between the upper and lower front bodice panel. To make it easier when sewing, you can use a one-sided foot if you feel more comfortable. Basically, you need to sew really close to the piping without actually sewing over it. And this is how it should look like after you've sewn both sides of the neckline. Make sure to give it a good press, and now we have to attach the facing. To attach the facing, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sew over the seam allowance of the bias piping and main bodice panel. As you can see, I've pinned it all in place right here. And next, you can just move on to your sewing machine and straight stitch all around the neckline. The next step is to just flip the neckline inside out and give it a good press. Remember to press after almost every step so we have the most perfect finishes. And this is how your dress should be looking like up to this step. Now we have to prepare the skirt panels, so grab all 4 of them and we're going to be making 2 rows of gathering stitches from the top edge towards the notch on the side. You're going to do this on all 4 skirt panels. Now to gather the skirt panels, you just have to pull on the thread and distribute the fabric accordingly throughout the panel. You should make sure that the gathers matches from the notch towards the side of the main front panel. So make sure to measure that before pinning it and sewing it. After doing that, you're going to start pinning from the notch towards the bottom of the dress and then the gathers. Make sure to pin in place all 4 skirt panels, and you can just straight stitch and overcast or zigzag stitch the edges. When it's time to press the seam, make sure to press it towards the top, just like this, or towards the center of the dress. Grab the pair of pockets which we attached fusible interfacing to, and using the notches on both the sides of the dress and the pockets, you're going to align these 2 pieces with the right sides of the fabric facing each other. And remember to do that on the other side as well. You're going to sew just like this as shown on the sketch. Grab your scissors and make small cuts on both corners, just like this. Move the pocket panel and the seam allowance towards the same side and top stitch about 2 mm from the edge. Flip the pockets towards the wrong side of the bodice and press. Open up your pockets, and using the remaining 2 pocket panels, we're going to stitch them together on the curved edge. And remember to also zigzag stitch or overcast the raw edge. Now we have to secure the sides of the pockets on the bodice. So right here on these 2 corners, we're going to make a stitch really close to the edge. Once your pockets are ready, the sides of your dress should look something like this. Move the back main panels over the main front panels and match them together, making sure the right sides are facing together. And you're going to match the sides from the armhole towards the hem of the dress on both sides. And we're going to basically do the same with the facings. After stitching it, make sure to overcast or zigzag stitch the raw edges. Now move the facing out of the way, and we're going to make a hem on all the raw edge of the facing. What I did was just fold the raw edge 1 centimeter inwards twice. Now we're going to start attaching the invisible zipper. So first, go towards the back of the dress, and we're going to close the center back from the notch over to the hem. Move towards the top of the dress, grab your invisible zipper, and open it up. We're going to start attaching one of the sides of the invisible zipper using an invisible zipper foot. What I did was align the zipper stop on the top of the neckline and began pinning from there. I did the same for both sides. Once you've sewn both sides of the zipper, make sure it works properly, and now we can sew the facing with the back main panel. Move the little bit of zipper tape left over towards the side, and we're going to sew over the 2 layers of the dress and the zipper tape. But remember that we're not going to sew over the zipper teeth. Now we have to cut the corners, so when we flip it inside out, there's no bulky side inside of the dress. Remember, you have to do this for both back sides. It's time to hem the dress. What I did was to just fold the hem inward about 1 centimeter and folded it again so that I could then stitch over it. Move on to the armholes of the dress, and we're going to match both the facing and main panels so we can make a stitch all around. This stitch is just to align and secure the armholes together. And we're finally going to work on the sleeves. So grab one of your sleeves and your bias piping, and we're going to cover the hem with the bias piping just like this. And we're going to sew really close to the bias piping as I showed you once before. We're going to do this for both sleeve panels. Grab your bias tape and press it down the middle as I'm showing you here. And we're going to cover the hem of the sleeves with this. Once you've done that, make sure to give it a really good press. And now you're going to face it right sides together and sew the sides. Next, we're going to top stitch over the bias tape to secure it in place. And now that both of your sleeves are ready, it's time to attach them. Make sure to grab each sleeve to its corresponding side and face them right sides together with the main bodice of the dress. Remember that the sleeve has some notches and also the seam that help you match the armhole and sleeves properly. Now, to give it a really nice finish, we're going to finish the armholes with the same bias tape we were using before. So just fold it in half as I showed you, and you're going to stitch all around the armhole. Give yourself a huge round of applause because you're finally done with your Aitana dress. This dress is so beautiful. It has the prettiest details and it looks elegant at the same time. I hope you really enjoyed the tutorial, so thank you for watching.